So it starts at 19. Well, you're talking way back
I
now,
can't make
beginning
it.
of
That's 1906.
1906. So yeah, they're the previous pages. Now, well, these were obviously here when you guys arrived. That there was a bit of.
I found them under the stairs. We found them under the stairs.
That's
now
fantastic.
I don't know what that is there.
So you reckon the shop itself started around 1900? That would have been its beginnings.
May the 1st. Look, sales.
Right. Yeah,
and
yeah,
in the day at that time.
Yeah.
At that time, 9 and 2pence halfpenny.
Right.
5 and 2pence. 4 and 11pence halfpenny on the 3rd of May.
Fantastic.
8.
8 1.5 or whatever that is. One is it 1
2 and 11. Oh, yeah, 8 shillings and a penny halfpenny.
Right.
13 shillings. That's the takings. Look.
So what was the shop called then? Do you know? What was the name of the business?
It was Moore and Company House Agents. Now there's 1911. Look.
And house agents, were they like a grocery, or were they like they were obviously similar kind of to what the Ireton family?
Newspapers.
Newspapers. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So would you guys have been the next owners? Were there owners between?
Oh no.
No, it changed hands a few times.
That's my father's writing there. 1963.
Right.
That's when we came here.
Okay.
And he wrote in something there.
No.
But you see that there now, all the sales, it's all that. And this is written in by either Mrs. Moore or Miss Kindlen, I don't know which. See that? Pen and ink.
Right. Mrs. Moore, who's the other
1905. I think it's 1900.
Right.
That's 1908.
That's amazing.
You see that?
So you guys arrived in 1963. You'd had...
No,
was
come
it?
here now. There's 1913,
Okay.
1919,
Right.
1911,
Okay.
1912.
Right. Well, what was the year? What was the year that yourself and your father and your mother arrived here then into this premises? Was it 1963? You said.
No, we came here in 1959.
Right. Okay. And you had 2 years before in Kilcool.
Now, do you see that?
Right. That's amazing. Amazing.
And look at this. Look at this.
Yeah. Another ledger.
No, look at that. There's for 1921.
Right.
Now you go back here. 1912.
Right.
She went into this then 1914, and there's all these are, and all that went on.
Fantastic.
Look at that.
Wow, that's
see all
brilliant.
that. No,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
all that. 1918. Look at 1916. The rising 100 years ago.
Wow.
Wait a minute now. 1917. Where's 1916?
Going backwards.
Now the time of the rising.
Yeah.
That's the 1917.
There you go. 1916. Yeah.
Look at that.
Wow. That's amazing. And they were just selling, you say newspapers, obviously tobacco and stuff like that.
The year of 1916, what they sold for the year was £964.16 and 8.
Haha, deadly, right. But you mentioned, there was news...
1916 sales for November.
But you said it was newspapers, so obviously that was more than newspapers though.
No, what they sold was, it was house agents, because they owned the house next door.
Okay.
And 3 others on the terrace. And they used to let them, and they had an office in there. And as well on that part of the shop where the fireplace is.
Right.
But where the old part of the counter is, up this end, was the newspapers and news agency for Greystones.
Okay.
Plus postcards.
Right.
And I have an old photograph of it.
Oh, I must have a look at that.
With the postcards outside on a stand on a card table.
Yeah.
And they would have sold stationery.
Okay.
Fancy goods. Fancy goods.
Right.
And maybe sweets, I don't know.
But and it's always been in that area then that's really what the shop is for. The house agent thing would have fallen away, but it always remained then as a kind of a general grocery store and fancy goods.
Kindlen, Mr. Kindlen he was a builder from Kerry.
Right.
And he built all the houses up the road and most of the houses over Burnaby Road.
Okay.
And he built Holy Rosary Church.
Right.
And a lot of houses in Greystones on the Burnaby.
Right.
And these 2 shops were for the service of the Burnaby. And the next door one where the health food is, that was Howard the baker.
Right.
Bread and cakes and all that.
And did Kindlen live here, or was he just worked?
His sisters took this shop.
Right.
Mrs. Moore and Miss Kindlen.
Right.
They kept the house next door and the next one and 2 more further up.
Right.
And they kept those for investment, and they let them in the winter time, in the summertime.
Yes.
And they kept this place here, and Moore and Company, and the company was Miss Catherine Kindlen.
Right.
Plus a few other people. a few other people.
And would this have been around the same time that McFarlane's were kind of doing a similar thing, or was that a different generation?
Came down there, I'm not sure what year, but they built that shop.
And they built a few cottages
and that
up
was
the
a big
street.
Grocery shop.
Yes. And that was later, do you think? Then I'll have to check my years.
No, around about the same time.
Right, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Now your own memory of here. Now your family moved. You're in Dublin.
No, we were in Kilcoole.
Oh yeah, but before that though, you started. I think
we were never in Dublin.
Okay, right. Never. Whereabouts was you started? I remember you told me before you moved.
Yeah. Well, we were in Kilcoole from 1951.
Right.
We came to Kilcoole in 1951, and we were there 8 years. And then we moved over here in 1959.
Right.
And this place was empty. The shop was empty.
Had it ceased to be a business then?
It had grinded to a halt.
Right.
And there was a flat upstairs, and this was there was a big hole there with a fireplace. You see that fireplace?
Yeah.
My dad went into Wicklow.
Right.
And bought that fireplace.
Lovely.
And there was a big hole there.
Right.
And my dad was handy. He put all that in.
And the hole would have been somebody took the fireplace that would have been there previously.
Some sort of a cooker there.
Okay.
Some sort of a cooker.
So no, just to be clear, before Kilcoole, then I did. You told me before. Then my mistake. I thought you were in Dublin, but where did you live before
Down
Kilcoole?
in Rathrum.
There you go, Rathrum. That's it. I knew it was somewhere fancy.
Yeah.
So the move to Greystones and the move to this premises. Can you remember what sort of age were you then, and what sort of feeling did you have about moving here?
Yeah, I was about 20.
Right. And were you happy to move, or was it a big shock to your system?
No, we came over here because it was. They wanted to move. We hadn't settled really in Kilcoole.
Right.
My father and mother were in the shop 7 days a week.
Wow.
We didn't pay anyone. The two of them were there, and it was a full business of news agency and grocery and women getting all the stuff for their children and all that. And we had a very good business there.
Right.
On the corner where Year Olds were.
Right.
They used to come up the Sea Road. They used to come up the Newtown Road. They came halfway to Newtown. There's down Lots Lane, and from up the street they came down because of and they'd be waiting for the evening Heralds.
Right.
And of course, very good bus service in Kilcoole, about 15 buses in the day.
Wow.
And the morning the daily papers came, the Independence, Irish Times, and the Irish Press came on the early morning bus, and on the evening then at 5:10, the evening Heralds.
So his decision.
And we had all the stuff from Eason's magazines.
Of course.
And Sunday morning was the busiest of all.
Right.
They used to have to come over to Mass in Greystones, and that was in Canon Fendley's time.
Yeah.
And get Mass here and get back. When the buses had come back from Kilquaid with the whole village.
Right.
They'd
all be coming out at the same time.
And half of them had come into our place.
Yeah.
Before they go home.
So you're saying then it didn't quite work out though ultimately. Was that just
we
because
were there 8 years, you see,
right.
And my parents was just doing it I was helping, of course.
Yeah.
And I was going to school in the first few years that we were in Kilcoole, and then I left school and I stayed at home because I was needed to help, you know.
Right.
And then after, as I say, 1959, this place came for sale, and they came down to the auction, and I didn't think they'd get it, you know, but they got it. They got it.
Brilliant.
And we moved over here, and Ernie Wilson sold the place in Kilcoole to the Year Olds.
Right. And your own kind of feeling of realising that this was the family business and that you were leaving school to sort of taking up full time.
Yeah.
Was all of that kind of sit well with you? Were you happy about that, or was it something that you struggled with?
Sometimes I wanted to go off and see other things, but they only had me.
Right.
So I hung on here, you know.
Right. And the move to Greystones then, was that fairly joyful, or was it difficult? I don't know, it took a while to get your feet on the ground?
Well, no, I didn't have any friends of my own age in Kilcoole.
Right.
And I wasn't born or reared there. I had lived in other places.
Yeah.
I'll just show you now.
Right. But it seemed that you kind of became such a part of the town. It seemed to me that you were always here. I don't know if that was quite quick, that the shop itself became a very big part of the town, or...
I'll show you this now.
All right.
Sit down there.
Cool.
Now, somebody like yourself came in and got me to talk about what I remember long ago.
Right.
And if you look at that there, that's where we lived.
Right, that's brilliant.
Look, and if you want to have a read of this, you can. There's where we lived in Rathrum.
Right, I remember seeing that image before.
That's me here now in this room.
Right.
Look at the curtains. See?
Yeah.
See me there.
Same curtains.
And this is in 2014,
right?
yeah.
Collecting folklore. That's brilliant.
And
Yeah.
he says here, now listen to this. Today is the 7th of March 2014, and I am here with Leo Ireton in his shop Ireton's in Killincarrig Road, Greystones. Leo is going to talk about his memories of the 1940s and 1950s growing up in Rathdrum, Kilcool and Greystones. So over to you, Leo.
Nice.
When I was young, we lived at Rathdrum, and we had a farm at a place called Ballinderry, which was about 1.5 miles from the town. And I used to have a little bicycle that I went to school on from where we lived down to the boys' school on the Fair Green. And that was for the boys. The girls had a school at the convent, but we had our national school at the Green, Fair Green. And I went there as long as we lived there. And I have good memories of Rathdrum and what we did there. So up where we lived in Ballinderry, there were the most lovely views across Sarah Vale.
Right.
And of course he has put these in here. And
No,
that's a map of where
I should just say now, we wouldn't really have to read the whole booklet now.
No, look, there's that. There's
Yeah, I
the-
saw that one. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So up
yeah.
where we were on very high ground, 700 feet above sea level. And there were fantastic views across from Clara Vale, right up as far as Trooperstown and Lara on one side. And on the other side, down to Ballinaccord, Green Ann, and up to Glenmalure and Lugnaquilla in the distance.
Well, you know what I'm going to do, Leo? I'm going to go through that and make a copy, because that I couldn't really go through the whole book.
What?
We couldn't go through the whole book now.
No, I'll go through some of it. It was a lovely area to live in, especially in the summertime, and we had 70 acres there. And that's me out in the fields.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
Look at the dog.
Fantastic, yeah.
So when I'd come home from school, the dog would be waiting for me, and I wouldn't stay very long indoors. I'd be out running around, especially in the summer and all the year round. I was very happy, and myself and the dog used to be off around, covering around everywhere. We had 16 fields. The dog's name was Shep, and in the summertime, the haymaking and the harvest. And of course we kept cows and we had pigs, and my mother had poultry, and she used to churn butter. And then we used to have the horses to do the work. We had 3 horses, and that was before the tractors had arrived. It was the horse machinery that did the harvest and cut the harvest and drew the binder. And then when the thrashing day came around, Mr. Condell used to come along with his thrashing engine and thrashing mill, and all the neighbours used to turn out to help, because it took about 15 or 16 or more men to do all the different tasks.
Now, Leo, I don't know if you're going to do up to the first 50 years now, but it's very hard to
Okay.
like. 'Cause what I'll do is I'll
Will I
reproduce.
stop now?
Yeah, I'll reproduce that. I'll kind of, if it's all right with you, I'll actually have a look at that and let people see it. But what I really wanted to find out was just that feeling when you arrived here in Greystones, and how quick you felt that it was home, because you had a lovely life here. I know you took a lot of walks down the South Beach. You were very, very much a guy who would go exploring on your bike. You'd head up Glendalough. You did a lot of kind of looking around.
Oh, but I would go off on the bike.
Yeah,
and
which is
there's been
fantastic.
no limit to where I'd go.
So
I went out to Blessington one
Yeah.
Sunday, and around by Sally Gap, and came back by Sally Gap. It was 60 miles.
So was life good for you here then? Pretty quickly, I would hope, because you seem like a happy man, and you seem to have a natural kind of feel for being in this house.
When we came here first, I had there's a big bench out in the shed there.
Right.
And I did a lot of woodwork, making small things like bookcases and bedside lockers.
Right.
And then I went into furniture restoration. And there were auctions that time, quite a lot, up in Delgany.
Right.
And Ernie Wilson used to have an auction room up in Hillside Road. And there were auctions in the houses. And I would buy stuff that was in poor condition, and I would do it up.
Right.
And I would recondition, French polish.
Yeah.
And then I'd sell it. I used to put it on the Evening Herald. And people would come out from Dublin, and I'd have it all in the hall there.
Right.
And I used to sell the stuff.
Oh, that's great.
And I did that for quite a while.
Right.
But
and was that considered a possible career, or was it you just happy to have something of your own?
I only had hand tools, and I didn't go in for anything in a big way. But I did that for quite a while. And as time went on, then my mother and father were running the shop. But then after a while, my mother sort of pulled away from it, and I was there in the shop. And my dad got to, in 1967,
Yeah.
My dad said, I'm not able to cope with this, trying to get the stock and trying to keep stuff in the shop and forgetting things and all. So I said, look, I'll do it. And the cash and carry had started in Bray.
Right.
Down on Dargle Road.
Yes, I know it.
And I used to go there looking for furniture, you see. And I said, well, I might as well, when I'm in Bray, go down and bring home a bit of stuff for the shop.
Yeah.
So in 1967, I started bringing the stuff for the shop, and I took responsibility for the stocking of the shop.
Right.
And that went right on up, right through all the 70s and 80s. My father died in 82.
Right.
Then my mother died in 92. And I continued on right up to quite recently.
Well, that's the thing now. It's kind of a shock to me to discover that it is no longer.
But when the first supermarket came up Church Road, it didn't do us any harm.
Right.
But the first real impact was the one up in Black Line, Super Quinn.
Right, right.
Quinsworth
Right.
came to Black Line, where Tesco is now.
Yes.
But although it was a good bit away from us, we had a good trade here all the time.
Right.
But as time goes by and the people pass away, the younger people wouldn't come to a shop like this. They would go to Tesco.
Yeah.
And super value up the town, and then with Lidl and all that. So the shop is there now. I'm not opening that shop now anymore.
Okay. And how does that feel? Because you've had a strong connection not only to the shop but to the town, and this is where you live as well as this is where the shop is based. I mean, was that quite an easy kind of decision for you? I know that the lovely Orla was here with a House of Flowers, and they've only just recently departed, and that was a new lease of life there for the year or so that they were here. But I don't know whether that was a big decision on your part to step away from.
Well, it just happened, Yeah. So I'm here now, and I'm not going to reopen the shop because I want a bit of freedom.
Right.
And I've got my home here. And the shop is there. If they wanted to make films or anything in it, I would let them, but I wouldn't give it to any permanent, more leasing or anything like that, because it's intrusive on the kitchen there.
Yes.
They have to use the back toilet.
They have to move through the house.
Yeah, and I like a bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah.
At this time in my life, so I have the rooms upstairs. I have this, and I have the kitchen there, and the shop is there. And the local residents now are going on the 10th of December. They're going to have 2 hours. You can come around if you want.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
And at mulled wine.
Nice.
And they have 2 hours on the 10th of. I think it's. I'm not sure what day it is.
Right, I'll check that though.
It's on the 10th of December, the 6th of December.
Right. I'll find out the dates.
One of the dates.
And is the mulled wine here or just generally out in the?
No, it won't be in here.
Square.
It'll be in the shop.
Oh, nice.
And they're using the shop for 2 hours.
Brilliant. Oh, that'll be a lovely event.
Lines will be up, the door will be open, and anyone that wants to come in will be welcome.
Great. Well, we'll get the date and we'll let people know. And
there'll be mulled wine, and I don't know whether they have mince pies, but they probably will.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
That's all I need to hear.
They probably will.
But I've got to say now that I just in the same way that Mrs. Mooney and her shop is seen by many people as a pivotal kind of landmark in the town. Yeah. Ireton's in a quieter but no less significant way has been a huge part of Greystones, and the fact that you're in good health is terrific. The fact that you have that, like Mrs. Mooney, the opportunities to enjoy your life and do other things is important. But just to say, beautiful place, and it will be missed. I think you've got a unique kind of part of Greystones history, because this is very much of a shop out of time. It's a shop from another era almost. It's a beautiful example of an earlier kind of time.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot come and go, and a lot of things happen. So that's the story now.
Nice.